Hi, my name is Samat and welcome to How to Practice Jazz Guitar Licks Correctly. If you've been learning jazz guitar licks but don't know how to apply the licks to your solos, keep watching this video. So today I'm going to share you 5 ways how you can maximize each jazz guitar lick that you learn. Um, as a writer, I've released 4 books so far on jazz guitar licks, and one of the most common questions I get after people buy my books and work through the material is how can you maximize it? How can you use the licks? And from people who might be a bit skeptical about my books or skeptical about licks in general, they like you might have heard people say, oh, I don't want to just play licks, I don't want to sound robotic, I don't want to sound like I'm just quoting things and putting things in. Um, and the problem is, you know what? A lot of people do that. A lot of people become lick players, meaning they play the same thing because they do not know how to maximize it. And so today I'm going to give you, in this video, I'm going to show you 5 ways you can maximize each jazz guitar lick that you learn so that it does not just become something that is um, static and non-changing. It can become something very powerful that will empower your playing. And here's the 5 ways. Number 1, understand the concept. A lot of people when they play jazz guitar licks, they just play it. They just like, here's the lick, and I goes to this note and this note, and I'm playing this fingering, and now I'm on a minor chord, so I'm gonna play this lick, and it becomes very robotic. It becomes very sterile. It becomes very predictable. It becomes like just follow the numbers, follow the dots, paint by numbers. Yeah, it's paint by numbers, and that's because they don't understand the concept. So one thing you can do when you get a lick is actually to look at it and ask, is it made out of an arpeggio? What's the chromatic notes? What's the notes related to the chord? And you want to understand the concept behind it. And that is something that you can get by, after you learn to play it, you actually understand what makes it special, what makes that lick that particular lick. So understanding the concept is really important. Second one, this is something I get my students to do all the time. All my private students that learn with me, especially the ones that have been playing for a while, I tell them to vary the lick ending. So you might learn a lick and maybe it ends on the note A. So I say, let's say it's A on a D minor 7, so that's the 5th. I say, why don't you end on the G? Why don't you end on the B? Why do you end on the C? Just vary the endings, just change the last note. So you might have a 10-note lick, and then just the last note change to something else. And just by changing the ending ever so slightly, you're going to get a different kind of flavor for each lick. Number 3, change the rhythms. The rhythms are really important. A lot of times when people learn licks, they learned it, especially with jazz licks, they tend to just be like, do ba-da, 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 like, just like 8 notes and shuffle, or like very predictable rhythms. And so if you actually take the lick and you vary it, maybe change it into triplets or make it more floating or just make it more polyrhythmic, whatever you do, just change the rhythm, and that will get the lick to sound like you have 4, 5, 7 more licks just because the rhythm's different. Number 4 is develop the lick. This is something I learned from one of my teachers when I was in Berkeley, Ed Tomasi. And Ed used to say to us in our Berkeley class, I think it was called Harmonic Considerations in Improv 1, and he said you would take a lick or a sequence, and you can hear that used by people like Herbie Hancock or Chick Corea, and you can hear how the final complicated lick is the final form of that lick. Then they might have practiced that, and they might have used the same idea at the beginning of the solo, but just not the entire phrase. And so I think it's really important when I saw that, when he started showing us and analyzing all that, you realize that one lick that you learn, especially in my books, I give like 60 licks. They're not really just 60 licks, they're much more than that. They're 60 if you take them at face value, but really you get a lot more from those licks, because each lick you could break them apart and reassemble them and combine them. One lick could be 5 or 10 more licks, so there's a lot of stuff in a single lick, but you have to experiment to develop them. Number 5, and this is really important. A lot of people, they learn licks and they learn them as exercises, and that's not the way. You got to jam out. You have to apply the licks. So Easy way, if you have a looper or you have a way of recording yourself, I tell my students to just use their phone. Oftentimes I just take up my phone and just record myself playing the chords to like a simple chord progression like a 2-5-1 D minor 7 G7 C major 7 for example, and just apply the lick on the backing track that I just recorded. If you have a looper pedal, you can use a looper pedal. If you have Audacity on the computer, you can use that. I keep telling people that it's not about the quality of the audio or the equipment or how fancy the equipment is. It's just the act of recording yourself. Back in the day, my teachers in Berkeley, they will just use like cassette recorders and record backing tracks with cassette recorders. And you, as long as you apply it and you can hear it in context with the chords, you're going to be able to see how you can use it much better. So don't treat them just as exercises. These things are meant to be used as real music. And here's the summary of the thing. So remember, number one was understand the concept. Know why the lick works, what's being used. Number two, vary the lick endings. So just change the last note, and that's an easy way to just get more licks out of it. Change the rhythms. So don't just play the rhythms as written, but see what happens if you make them to 16 notes. What happens when you make them to triplets? Have fun with the rhythms. Number four is develop the lick. Realize that the lick, if you're learning like a 2-bar lick, it can actually be used as fragments of it can be used to develop a solo much early on for like another 30 seconds or 1 minute or 2 or 3 choruses if you are very creative and you just look at it as raw material that can be shaped. Number five is jam and apply the lick. Use a backing track, use your own backing track, use a looper, record your chords with your phone. Or if you play an instrument, if you're not a guitarist and you happen to be a saxophonist, listen to this, you can record yourself playing piano just so you can hear the harmony underneath. And these are the 5 tips that I have. So, just to close up, I just want to say if you want to level up your jazz guitar skills, get the new 60 minor pentatonic jazz guitar licks. This is one of 4 books that I've released on jazz guitar licks. There are another 3. You can get all 4 if you want. They're all really good. They all have different things. But I'm really proud of the 60 minor pentatonic jazz guitar licks. This is the most recent one, and a lot of people have been enjoying working through the book. You get 60 licks. You get the licks in 12 keys. So there's each key you get 5 licks in each key, and so there's a lot of stuff to work on. And especially if you start applying these things, the concepts that I mentioned earlier, you're going to get a lot of mileage out of those. And it can really help level up your jazz guitar skills. So get a new book, 60 Minor Pentatonic Jazz Guitar Licks, if you're interested to explore this even further. So check out the link. It'll be in the bio. If depending where you watch this, it'll probably be in the comments or the description. So again, thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next video. My name is Az Samad, and see you again next time. Bye.